everyone. Welcome back to God's Whispers, a place where we take the time to pause and reflect on the word of the Lord. Today's gospel maybe can feel uncomfortable because Jesus tells a story that quietly asks us, have I become too comfortable to notice what really matters? Have you ever wondered whether comfort can slowly dull our hearts? Let's take a breath and listen to this parable together. From the Gospel according to Luke, chapter 16, verses 19 through 31. Jesus said to the Pharisees, "There was a rich man who dressed in purple garments and fine linen, and dined sumptuously each day. And lying at his door was a poor man named Lazarus, covered with sores, who would gladly have eaten his fill of the scraps that fell from the rich man's table. Dogs even used to come and lick his sores. When the poor man died, he was carried away by angels to the bosom of Abraham. The rich man also died and was buried, and from the netherworld, where he was in torment, he raised his eyes and saw Abraham far off, and Lazarus at his side. And he cried out, 'Father Abraham, have pity on me. Send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am suffering torment in these flames.' Abraham replied, 'My child, remember that you have received what was good during your lifetime, while Lazarus received what was bad. But now he is comforted here, whereas you are tormented. Moreover, between us and you a great chasm is established, to prevent anyone from crossing, who might wish to go from our side to yours, or from your side to ours.' Then he said, 'I beg you, Father, send him to my father's house, for I have 5 brothers, so that he may warn them, lest they too come to this place of torment.' But Abraham replied, 'They have Moses and the prophets. Let them listen to them.' He said, 'Oh no, Father Abraham, but if someone from the dead goes to them, they will repent.' Then Abraham said, 'If they will not listen to Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded if someone should rise from the dead.'" To really understand this parable, I had to research the world in which Jesus's listeners were there listening. In the first century Jewish culture, wealth was seen as a sign of God's favor. Poverty was often viewed as misfortune or even something from the divine disapproving. Social boundaries were very visible between the rich and the poor. So when Jesus tells his story, his listeners would have expected the rich man to be the blessed one, but he flips that expectation completely. And this is what, from what I've read, scholars often call the great reversal. What shocks the audience is not that Lazarus is comforted, but that the rich man is held accountable for passive neglect. Most of us don't see ourselves as the rich man in the story. We're not trying to ignore anyone, or maybe we're not trying to harden our hearts, but life gets busy and comfort becomes normal. And sometimes, without meaning to, we stop noticing what God is placing right in front of us. Jesus isn't trying to shame his listeners, he's trying to wake them up. So the parable is asking us, where might I be spiritually asleep? And where might comfort be numbing my compassion? So if you're journaling, here are some questions that you might want to sit down with. Where in my life have I grown spiritually comfortable? Is there someone or something that God may be asking me to notice more intentionally? And then what's one small step that I can take this week to keep an open heart and be more responsive? I feel like as long as we're listening to the gospel, as long as our hearts are open, it's never too late to become awake. We don't need to panic and we don't need to feel condemned, but it's more, I think, just asking the Lord, help me to stay awake in what matters the most. I hope that this message was encouraging to you. Please let me know in the comments your thoughts. Share it with a friend or like it. And don't forget to subscribe so you can continue to hear God's whispers.